The elevator logged at 2:04 a.m. The guest badge said companion of Milo. I'm not jealous of bodies, I'm jealous of access. Bodies tell the truth if you stop staging them. Access decides which truth is allowed to arrive. At 2:04 a.m., the building app sent me the cheerful cruelty only security software has perfected. Elevator access guest badge companion of Milo, floor 17. Under it, a thumbnail from the ceiling camera, a shoulder in a good jacket, a hand braced on chrome, a blur where a mouth might have been honest if the frame had waited longer. The name on the badge chose a word I've always hated for how it smiles while it steals. Companion. Milo had texted at 10:42, bored wants one more drink. Don't wait up. He's gifted at the kind of theater that happens in lobbies, teaching money how to believe in breath, teaching actors how to pretend the applause will pay rent. At 7:05, I'd filmed the coffee becoming itself because ritual is cheaper than religion and keeps better hours. I captioned it here. He reacted with the thumbs up he keeps for nights that intend to rename themselves. The building didn't rename anything, it confessed. The apartment had the posture rooms get when they've rehearsed a story without you. The radiator breathed like an amateur chorus. The bookshelf practiced looking innocent around the poetry that taught us too many nouns for leaving. I boiled water because water doesn't audition. It commits to heat and lets time do the rest. The kettle sang, polite and stubborn, a spine you can set a night against. At 3:03, the lock cleared its throat. Milo stepped in with his shoes hooked by two fingers like witnesses too tired to lie. He smelled like lime and a decision made under forgiving light. He kissed the air near my cheek, our administrative truce, and then saw the app glowing on the counter like a clerk who loves its job too much. His pupils turned into clocks, the small dilation that arrives right before he chooses a verb. "You're up," he said, as if etiquette had mailed me a warning. "The elevator thinks you collect companions," I said. "It used your name like a key and mine like a caption." He placed his shoes on the mat as if surrendering small ships. Then he put both palms on the table the way our therapist taught us when we wanted to give words somewhere to land. The gesture is either dignity or triage. "Which question?" he asked. "Why or who?" "Why," I said, because Matt, my emergency adult, kicks me under imaginary tables when I lead with names. If I start with who, the elevator writes our minutes. Milo looked at the patch of wall where the paint keeps wanting to retire without ceremony. "Because the scene wouldn't land," he said. "Because donors clapped in the wrong places and wanted to be forgiven with gin. Because the lark turned the music up when money wanted to hear itself think. Because Wren," he let the name settle precise as a stage direction, "said the rooftop at Kestrel has air that does heckle. Because I used our guest console to print a badge like a man who thinks nouns can behave better than he does." "Did you kiss him?" I asked, breaking Matt's superstition like a boy with a stick and a fence. "In the elevator," he said. "Once, small and honest and wrong. I said the room upstairs didn't need this kind of punctuation." He laughed. "I pushed every button like a parody of Conscience and got out on 17. I came home." "I hate how sane that sounds," I said, which is the sentence I keep for mercy that arrives before I can match its tone. We didn't sleep. We did something more humiliating and useful. We agreed to go to Kestrel at noon, when cities pretend to be merciful. Daylight made the building's glass look like it had been forgiven and wasn't sure what to do with the news. The lobby smelled like citrus that had learned to whisper. The concierge, who knows which men learn slowly, greeted Milo with a smile that didn't take sides. "Welcome back," she said. The phrase fell between us like an unpaid bill. Wren waited near the elevators, posture rehearsed to pay for his verbs. He had a paper cup and the pried-open look of someone who has taught younger versions of himself how to survive their good ideas. He saw us both and didn't pretend surprise, my favorite trick in men who owe a room honesty. "I was coming to apologize," he said, "to you both, and to whatever part of this building mistakes access for absolution." He turned to me without trying to recruit Milo's gaze. "He loves you. I like being near that. I'm sorry my job uses the same grammar as desire." "You don't get to call it ours," I said, "because cleverness is my superstition and I tithe when I'm anxious. Rehearsal is a room, a kiss is a scene, a badge is a ledger. You don't get to be the verb in our kitchen." Milo didn't look at him. He looked at me with the exact weight of a man deciding which door deserves his mouth. "I want open windows," he said, "not open doors." We left the building with nothing more dramatic than the revolving door trying to volunteer absolution. At home, I moved the kitchen chair into the center of the room because procedures save men when gods won't. Milo smiled like a man relieved to be caught kindly. He came around the table and paused, always that pause, his most decent habit. I met him halfway. The first kiss carried the proper weight, apology without speeches. The second slid his fingers under my shirt and my hand to the back of his neck, the place he keeps for oaths and sleep. We didn't perform a ceremony, we used heat as a system. If I could map the rest without getting evicted by an algorithm that prefers virtue louder than accuracy, I would. Keep the arithmetic, shared breath, a belt resigning with grace, a wrist pinned with permission and not claim. The room did not applaud. It didn't need to. City prefers quizzes. 2 nights later, Kestrel's social account posted a carousel at 1:41 a.m. Hand saw light in an elevator mirror, 4 bodies if you counted reflections. Milo adjusting his collar, head down. Ren behind him, tie loosened. A stranger passing like a rumor. Me in the doorway because someone had tagged my name as if helpful were a synonym for harmless. The caption said, "Boys being brave." Comments did what comments do. I typed nothing. I flipped the phone face down. I moved the chair until the room remembered it wasn't a witness stand. When Milo came home, he handed me his phone without instructions. "Delete or archive," he said. "I don't want new grammar." "You don't need me to erase your verbs," I said. He rested his forehead against mine like a paperweight on a better draft. 3 days later, the email arrived in fonts that have never had to apologize to a kitchen. Residency, 7 days, quiet rooms, kind windows. Milo forwarded the PDF with every map attached, which is how you know a man has learned where courage keeps its receipts. "I want to go without disappearing," he wrote. "I'll send pages, not alibis. When I get back, ask me what I wrote before what I did." I taped 2 lines under the lemon magnet because props still save us when God is off shift. Addresses in the open. A good night here voice note every day. He added a third in his careful mess. If an I can't is coming, it happens where both of us are. Night 1, wind and a sentence I decided to believe. Today the table forgave me. Night 3, nothing, and my thumb became the worst teenager in the world. I opened the building app without meaning to and stared at the event history until it admitted it was just a list, not a verdict. I moved the chair instead. At 8:12 he called with a voice that made the kettle think there might be a god. "I almost kissed a window," he said. "It didn't know your name. I closed the blinds." He came back with a suitcase that didn't slam and 2 pages he treated like animals. "They're not good," he said. "They're mine," I said, and we performed our small religion. Paper, kettle, a room that knows it isn't a lobby. He slid his hands under my shirt from behind, slower than contrition, faster than nostalgia. "Here," he said into the bend of my neck, which is the only word left that has never demanded witnesses. We tried boring. We failed gracefully. We tried again. Ren learned to stand at the back of the house with his arms crossed like a man paying the bill he owes himself. He clapped exactly once after the last scene's kiss and didn't text. For a week, The elevator minded its own floors. The app behaved as if it were merely a calendar that respected doors. Tests return the way weather does, indiscriminate and intimate. At 12:16 a.m., a push landed. Visitor created guest badge studio friend access, roof and 17. The name was a coward. I recognized the handwriting anyway. I stared at the screen until the black letters remembered they were just pixels. I moved the chair. The lock cleared its throat at 1:07. Milo came in with rain in his hair and a sentence ready. I walked him to the elevator, he said. He kissed the hallway good night. I kissed the button good decision. Do you want to hate me now or later? I prefer now. I like the way you come back from it. I'm tired of coming back, I said. I want to stay. He nodded and deleted the guest profile with his thumb, not as spectacle but like a man returning a key that never belonged to our house. He touched my jaw with 2 fingers, the intimacy director's sacrament, repurposed for domestic faith, and for once the gesture belonged exactly where it landed. We went to bed without performing an essay on forgiveness. We used our mouths the way men do who still prefer heat to cleverness. The room did not applaud. It didn't need to. Weeks alter even honest bruises. The lobby returned to its own reflection. The app kept its fondness for cheerful cruelty, and I learned not to treat it like prophecy. The city kept making rooms that wanted to pronounce us. I kept the kettle and the chair we move when words try to riot. On a Tuesday afternoon, Ren's name arrived where it should. A shared folder request titled Touch Maps Notes. Members, Milo, me. I hadn't asked to be included. The preview showed a whiteboard with arrows pointing to muscle groups and margins full of verbs asking for consent in 4 tenses. I let my eyes do the smallest treason and then told them to sit. Milo found me in the kitchen and put his palm flat on the table. He wants transparency to wear a halo, he said. I want the kind of quiet you can eat breakfast in. Save the file, I said. Don't open the folder. He smiled in that way he has when he realizes the simpler answer is the harder practice. That night, for the first time in too long, we invited 2 friends and the habit of normalcy to dinner. The building let them in like a door that had finally decided to be a door. After dishes, Milo set a 3-minute timer on his phone, a micro-ritual Matt insists on. Speak until the beep, don't interrupt, answer as if time were expensive. We spent the minutes like men who understood credit and gravity. When the timer exhaled, he asked, not with spectacle but with grammar, if he could touch me. I said yes. The room remembered us. We remembered it back. One more retest, because the world is thorough when it thinks you've studied. At 12:28 a.m., the elevator sent a clip titled Emergency Stop, Floor 15. The thumbnails flicked like a flipped coin. I didn't open it. I didn't need more frames of a night already trying to audition for memory. At 12:57, the lock sounded tired of pretending. Milo came in and held up his hands like a man who wants you to count your knives alone. The cab stalled, he said. I walked Ren to Kestrel and kept walking. He texted from the roof. I turned my phone face down. It's still there if you want to read it. I'm not asking you to. I don't want to read it, I said. I want a room we can live in tomorrow. He came around the table and paused. I met him halfway. He kissed me like a promise that knows what interest is, slow and honest, and I will not give you the rest. Keep the simple inventory, 2 bodies that kept their nouns, a breath we shared because we asked, a door that understood the difference between greeting and granting. Morning behaved. It crossed the floor like a dog that has decided we remain worth guarding. I made coffee and placed his mug where his hand lands without thinking. He came behind me and set his palm flat over my chest in that quiet territory between heartbeat and promise. Here, he said, less a word than a careful wait. I put my hand over his and let the day borrow our courage. By noon, the theater's account posted a still from the talkback, Milo in profile, mid-laugh, Ren beside him, listening like attention was a sport. The caption thanked donors and used community the way a grant application does when it's trying to be brave without saying money. I let my eyes do the smallest treason, measured the angle of ankle toward chair, the innocent geometry of candor that is only sometimes innocent. I did nothing with it. Some truths want nomming and then silence. That evening the app pinged once more, but this time it had the manners to be harmless. Package logged lobby desk. I went downstairs and signed for it. A thin box, no return address, the handwriting a careful mess I recognized from a fridge calendar that has tried hard to be a future. Inside, a brass keycard sleeve from Kestrel flattened and punched through, the whole threaded with twine. On the back, in Milo's neat apology, I don't keep souvenirs, I keep systems. I held it like a relic that does not want to be holy and walked back upstairs to hang it on the hook by the door. A warning and a graduation, both. Tomorrow we'll try again. Elevators will blink as if they've earned omniscience. Doors will pretend they're verbs. Ren will exist where he exists, a person, not a villain. Donors will clap in the wrong places and someone will pour gin into an apology and call it brave. But when Milo says here, my body has stopped auditioning for suspicion. If another night offers me a badge with the kind of honesty nobody asked for, or a frame of mirror that thinks it can curate our mouths, I hope I remember the handful of humiliating, useful acts that got us through this one. Put water on. Move the chair when words try to riot. Ask why before who. Hold the breath before contact and let it finish being the scene. Then wait for the lock's small throat clearing like it's the first note in a song we can still tune to. We didn't get away with anything. We stayed. We are still staying. The building can keep its access logs, the river can keep its absolutions, the lobby can keep its glass. We'll keep being the address. Or, on the nights we can't, the map that admits its misprints and still shows the way back. Past the revolving door that thinks it's an invitation, past the elevator's red dot that loves its own memory, into a kitchen where a chair knows what it's for, a kettle makes its 7:05 appointment, and two hands that have done worse learn again how to touch without asking the night to edit.